All right, everyone, welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I'm your host, Damon Pistolka, and with me today I have Scott Schindler, System 357, entrepreneur extraordinaire, surfer, skier, firefighter, system builder. Scott, welcome.
Hey, great to be here.
Man, this is going to be fun. You were just talking about you just got back from Japan. You were skiing in Japan because the powder is so great there. Was the skiing good while you're there? I didn't even ask that.
Actually, it was really good, So we had days where we had a foot of powder, and every run we were first runs. So that was one day. We did have one bad day though. So one day the sun came out, it was beautiful, and then the cloud came over, it snapped frozen. It was like, whoa,
Oh,
wasn't expecting that. And
yeah.
we was like, well, afternoon shopping now.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Good stuff. Well, Scott, we're going to talk a little bit today about, we're here today talking about building a valuable business. You've obviously done that, but we're going to share that with the listeners. And then we're going to talk into some of the things you've done since and helping other people build business, and your speaking and the other things. So we always like to start out with your background. So let's talk a little bit about when you decided back, I believe it was in 2000, to do a little startup called Renet. Where were you at, and what was the idea that generated this?
Really good question. So it was before 2000. I wanted to start a business, and it was only in 2000 where I got the chance, or the fork in the road, where I could
Okay.
sell one property, own the other property, and be debt free. So I went, well, now I can have a chance at a business, right? So if I don't make any money, I've still got a house, and I'm not going to lose anything. And I didn't have house payments or anything else.
Yeah.
So I got that fork in the road, but I didn't start Renet in 2000. I actually started Renet in February 2002. I went through 2 years of trial and error, and Renet was my 6th attempt at starting up.
Wow.
So the irony is, in between that, in the first year, I didn't do very well. I was doing okay, but I wasn't really getting any traction, anything that I liked anyway. I had a certain set of rules that I really wanted to achieve in business, the way I thought smart business should run. Nowadays we call it, I teach it as systems, right?
Yeah.
Just smart, intelligent ways I wanted to run a business. Anyway, after the first year, it wasn't getting any traction. I started looking for work. So thinking maybe I can't start a business, but then not only did I not get a job, I didn't even get a job interview.
Yeah.
So I persisted, right? I persisted because I had to persist. No one would give me a job. I thought, oh, well, if it's to be, it's up to me. So off I went, and I started learning programming in May 2001. And I went through 3 programs that I wrote, which one was for accommodation, one was for car yards or car dealers, and the other one was for real estate. And the other 2 worked, don't get me wrong, but the one that got the traction and I could see making money out of straight away was the real estate software.
Okay.
And sure enough, start of 2002, I started pushing it a little bit more, and I started getting lots of clients, and I went, whoa, this is pretty good. So I started the company Renet. So the entire journey took a few years to do that. And, I had one business that I started, which was computer networking, peer-to-peer networking. And the very first client I went and saw, I said, well, this isn't for me, because this isn't a very intelligent business. I'm just going to be a mechanic. I don't want to be a mechanic.
Yeah.
My business has to be smart. It has to run on systems and operate. I had terms like time duplication that I really needed to have, right? And I couldn't see myself doing it that way. I wasn't thinking programming at the time. I was just thinking work. And I went, yeah, no, this isn't for me. One client I lasted.
That's awesome. So I think so. Back up a little bit. You said it was your 6th. Renet was your 6th attempt.
Correct.
So, yeah, and that's awesome. That's awesome that you shared that, because a lot of people see others that have, maybe built a big business and exited and those kind of things. They don't really understand at the beginning how much grinding and changing and just turmoil that you go through to get that thing off the ground.
Yeah, and as I guess I did a mentoring session yesterday with a business guy that he's turning over a lot of money. He's got a really successful business, but he wants to get to the next level still. And we were talking about success in business, and that grit and determination really only comes from the bad times. When things are going good, you keep churning away, or when it's comfortable, you keep on trying to stay in the comfort zone. But when things don't work out, is when you actually dig deep and go, well, what do I have to do? What do I need to change? and that's when things actually happen for you and you become the person you should become. Some people get that because they get fired from their job. They go, I've got to now find a way to make things happen. But if you can find that inner grit and determination before it happens, even better.
Yeah.
But because I didn't get a job, I had to find more. I had to dig deeper. I had to think harder. And I had to then rely upon all the things that I'd learned in 10 years in the insurance business, working for an American insurance business. I had to dig deep and go, no, this is the things I want. So what do I need to change? What do I need to do? So I bought some more books. I read some more books. I learned how to program, and the rest is history.
So you program your real estate software, and you began using that. What are some of the things that you found as you're building your business that as you're going along, you go, boy, I didn't really plan on this, or I didn't realize this was going to be that big of a challenge, that you turned into systems later that you've written about?
To be honest with you, there was nothing that was unexpected.
Okay.
That might sound really weird to you. In fact, probably the thing that was unexpected was the success, that it actually worked.
Yeah.
If I had to go back and do it all again, I should have started doing what I did 10 years before. I should have had to go on my own 10 years earlier. I expected some success, but I didn't expect that much. I didn't expect it to be, look, it felt like selling lollies to kids. I didn't expect it to be that easy once I found the right product.
Yeah.
But to give you an example, right? So let me give you the example. So it took 2 years from when I left the insurance business to start the company Renet. So it took about 100 weeks, believe it or not. What I then did for the next 2 years was I had to actually, just like writing a book. Well, so what? I had a program. So what? I now had to go and sell it. I had to have people actually want to pay for it and continue to pay for it. So what I spent the next 2 years doing was starting off building the company. I went out door knocking, asking people to buy the software. And they did. But it took until, this is the thing, Damon, it took until September 2003. That was the last time I knocked on a door to ask someone if they wanted to buy the software. From then on in, we had enough traction, marketing, and so on, leads. We didn't have to physically go knocking on doors anymore to drive the business. So the last time I actually went canvassing and trying to find a client was September 2003. And, by then I'd written an email program, and just I could email people and do marketing, and I had a database, and I had all these wonderful things, right? So it made life a lot easier. And I had a team too. So in September 2003 was the last time I knocked on a door. It was April 2003 when I hired 2 staff. So for the first year or so, I was on my own, just trying to do everything. And I managed, but I got the traction. Then I could hire some staff. Then I got more traction. Then I hired more staff. And it went from there. So if you look at that, it really took about 4 years. So it took about 100 weeks to find the company. Then it took another about 100 weeks to actually establish a company and go, no, this really is a business now. This is a company. This has now got some teeth.
Very good. Very good. So as you were building it, were there things in running the company like that you wow, that really surprised me, like supporting the software, or just in the actual operating of the business that you hadn't contemplated when you were thinking about the concept and building the software?
Well, there was lots of things that I did. I'm going to call it differently to the others. So I was very much so about the people in the business, people first, people over everything, the leadership, the development of the clients. I figured if I helped enough businesses succeed, that they would stay clients, and they'd stay clients, and they'd want to be clients. So I did a lot of training and personal development. I did this sort of stuff with the real estate agents. So I came from a sales background. They're in a sales industry. I have a product that actually helps them with their sales systems. So I went to work and actually tried to increase people's businesses. And it worked. So I didn't see it as a problem. It was just a part of the process. So there was nothing that really surprised me. Like I said, apart from the success. And what actually ended up happening in the end was it got quite unique that I was the programmer and the CEO.
Yes.
Most people were the CEO and they hired programmers.
Yes.
Now, I wasn't a programmer in the end. I had a team of them. But I'm just saying, when I went to a prospect, like a major company, and they'd go, well, is this possible? I'd go, absolutely. and I could say it with authority.
You knew.
I didn't have to go back to the team and ask.
Yeah.
I might have had to go back with some project timelines or some final costing, but I knew what was possible, what wasn't possible. So that was actually quite unique in the industry in the end. So one, I was a successful business, but two, I actually knew what was going on from the coal face all the way up and down the product line. So yeah, so nothing really surprised me at all, Damon. The thing that really did surprise me though was that it all worked.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Like in 1999, when I had the concepts of business judo and time duplication and wanted to create a company that was intelligent, where I could make myself redundant and these systems would work, I didn't know. I had no idea. But I'd learned them from like when I worked at McDonald's as a kid, when I worked for the American insurance company, I learned sales and leadership and business development. I learned those things, and so I actually wanted it to work. I just didn't think it would work as good as it did.
Yeah.
But that was about the only surprise I got was, wow, this stuff does work.
Yes.
These systems work. If you put your systems in place, look, did it mean things didn't go wrong? No. I mean, I had servers go out, and I had a legal issue in the middle of things. I can tell you about all the bad times too.
Yeah.
They're expected. The unexpected or the unknown unknowns come from time to time, right? And you have to expect that not every year is going to be perfect. Not every month's going to be perfect. Not every day is going to be perfect. So when it happens, it's not unexpected. You just don't know which one it's going to be. But you have to be able to be ready to respond and go, okay, this is one of those times that's going to test me. I have to sort stuff out. I have to get things fixed, and I have to move on. And that happens from time to time, So certainly wasn't smooth sailing all the way. I mean, I remember at one time nearly losing everyone's email, because we were managing their email servers too. And I mean, that was a stressful time.
Oh, yeah.
Time. Not only did we nearly lose it all, they didn't have their email for 24 hours. They lost everything for 24 hours. People are screaming at me. It was Friday afternoon, and all the advertising goes in the Saturday paper back then. And things had to be done. And people are going, well, why Friday? I'm going, well, look, if I could have picked a day, it wouldn't have been any of them. And I'm going, but it's happened. Let's just deal with it, right? So we dealt with it. We put in some better systems for redundancies after that. I was flying around the countryside. I had to see a forensic guy to interrogate the database and actually restore the hard drive and take it back. Because we had redundancies of backups. That wasn't an issue, but they were going to take longer than the flying around the countryside to try and get someone to repair the data.
Oh, wow.
Lesson learned. We had that much data. The restoration of it wasn't really going to work. It was backed up, but it wasn't really. Anyway, I can teach you some lessons about IT, but
that's incredible though. I think overall what I'm hearing from you though, that's really good is that you were ready for the unexpected. You said it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're just going to work through it.
Well, one of the systems I teach is the business of thirds, So a third of the time things are going to be awesome. A third of the time things aren't going to be. And in the middle is a middle third, which can go either way, depending on how we respond and react, our experiences, our knowledge, our training. That's the third in the middle. But you've got a third of times where things are great, and we want to live in that third.
Yeah.
But the reality is a third of time things aren't going to be great. My fault, not my fault. Unexpected, expected, whatever it's going to be. It could be weather, it could be economic, it could be, well, as we know, pandemic. It could be something that's going to change. And in 10 years of a journey, there's going to be a third of the years which are fantastic, a third of the years which you had to work really bloody hard for to try to get through.
Yeah.
And the third in the middle, well, that just depends on what happens and how you respond and how positive your mental attitude is and those sorts of things. So I teach the business of thirds. In fact, you asked earlier about when we spoke once before about the fire brigade.
Yep.
So we live in the bottom third. We live in those 10% of times where things go wrong. Yeah. That's what we train for. We actually don't know what the situation is going to be. So I did 8 years in the fire brigade, right? Just at my local fire brigade. So it's on call. So what happens is if the pager goes off, I jump in the car and I go. And then we get about 300 of those calls a year. Okay. So it could be 1 o'clock in the morning, or it could be 8 o'clock in the morning, it could be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a car accident, an ambulance assist, or it could be an actual house fire, a structure fire, bushfire. So anyway, when you go to those, we train for those incidents when they happen, but we still don't know what it's going to be. But we expect them. We expect that we are going to get a structure fire. We are going to get a house fire. We know that's going to happen, right? We just don't know when or how, what time, what's going to cause it, nor do we know how we're going to fix it either until it happens. But we can plan and prepare for it because that's the industry the fire brigade is in. They're in the industry of when things go wrong, how big and how bad can they go wrong? And how can we prepare ourselves for that if and when it happens? So Yeah,
I have
it's
to.
a different way of thinking. Most businesses
No,
don't plan for that.
yeah, but it's a good way if you're going to think about, readiness for business as well, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you bring that so I started doing the fire brigade in 2012. Okay. So, and then when you look at it, bringing those disaster recovery type mentality back into the business was a good thing. So it
Mhm.
gave me more back than I put into it. And I just wanted to volunteer, right? So I was just
Yeah.
volunteering for the local fire brigade, and
Yeah.
I wanted to give back to the community, but it gave me a lot back of
Mhm.
situational awareness and not panicking when things go wrong and just looking at it, doing a full 360-degree view and going, okay, well, what do I need to do? What's the solution here? Let's just get in and get started, not panicking. So that
Yeah.
situational awareness is something that, I got, even though you have it in business, I got it a lot out of the fire brigade.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see now why that was an interesting time for you and beneficial for the long run.
And it
Especially
was
for the long
rewarding,
Yeah,
helping
and helping the community
in
too.
the
Yeah.
local community. So there was people I
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you helping your friends and neighbors.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. So you're sitting here. I mean, you sell your business and everything's great there. Why did you decide that you want to? I mean, you could have just rode off in the sunset, surfed, skied, had a good time, but you decided to start writing books about your systems you had developed and teaching people and speaking on it. What really drove that?
There's a couple of drivers. First of all, I'm hyperactive. I'm ADHD.
Okay.
So I have to keep doing things.
Yeah, that's
That
good.
is one driver. The big driver is actually legacy.
Mm.
So, like at the end of the day, I've got two boys. They're now turning 20 this year and 25.
All right.
And they're both doing really well. So not a problem at all. And one day they're going to want to start their own business, or they're going to want to do things, and they're going to say, hey, what did dad do? Now, if I'm here, I'll talk to them. If I'm not here,
Yeah.
well, then they can read some books about it. And the best validation for that is that other people like the books and other people have read the books. So, it's not just legacy. It's like, well, I also want some validation here. And it's been
Mhm.
working. People have been buying the books. In fact, the US is the biggest market that's been buying the books. So it's been unreal.
Very cool.
So there's legacy. The other thing is, I retired early. I was only 46. I wanted to keep mental stimulation. I didn't know
Mhm.
what that was going to be, though. So I didn't plan on necessarily what I'm doing today, but I did plan on staying active in one way or another. Mentoring, coaching, I didn't know, but it's all I've done all my life is 30 odd
Yeah.
years of coaching and mentoring people. And how I built Renet to be a successful real estate software business was by teaching my real estate agent clients to be better real estate agents, how to
Mhm.
sell more and make more, build teams. And by the way, here's my software.
Yeah.
It'll help you do all that stuff as well.
It does it
So
all.
that's some of the motivation. But what changed it all was in 2018, I got asked to speak for Google.
Okay.
So I did a Google talk. And in that talk, I spoke about two things just that I really believed in. And I had these before I started the company Renet. So I had these in before I left the insurance business. And one was business judo and one was time duplication. And I happened to drop those two terms in that talk. And at the end of the talk, I got asked about those two terms. And I thought to myself, wow, they sort of are really unique. So I trademarked them. I thought, well, I might do something with those terms. I didn't know what to
Yeah.
do though. But I
Yeah.
thought, people actually can really relate to it and like it, can understand it, which means they can implement it and use it to succeed.
Mhm.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
There's street smart systems, but people can actually use them and they can think about it every day in their business. I'm a business tutor. What am I doing today? How am I flipping the narrative around from negative to positive, or turning disadvantages into advantages and things like that? Or time duplication. How am I scaling? How am I duplicating my team? How am I duplicating my product? How am I duplicating my money and creating wealth? Every single day, that has to be your mentality. It's what
Mhm.
successful people do. And it's those systems in business. See, I had a system in business at Renet, which was what I taught the real estate agents was if they put 2 minutes into the software, they will get back 100 minutes for free. So time duplication wasn't an accident.
Mhm.
It was a very deliberate action of what I put into the software. It was a very deliberate action of how I built the company up through the team and everything else. What I do now, though, is you're right. I've now written books or writing books. I'm writing a book series.
Mhm.
And the first one was the 5 systems. and there's two of them there: business judo and time duplication.
Mm-hmm. And you're continuing on. So which book are you? So business judo. Where did you come up with the name?
Good question. So I learned in the 90s, I ran sales teams, and my boss, mentor, whatever you call them at the time, taught me a term called mental judo.
Okay.
So it's like mental judo. If I wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve, I had to help other people achieve what they wanted to achieve. But how do you do that? Okay, so you have to use a mental judo. And that was without getting into it, because we've only got a certain amount of time here. I then thought, when I started a business, that I was going to do the same thing, but I'm going to call it business judo.
Okay.
I'm going to leverage. I'm going to network. I'm going to create win-win-win situations. I'm going to have a positive mental attitude, and I'll have that. So they're some of the things that business judo is. It's that leverage. So I did it, and that was a Scotty term, business judo. So that's where it came from. So all I had to do then was live, eat, sleep, breathe that in the company. Like I said, was there any surprises? No, I knew it worked. I just didn't know it worked as well as it did.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So as you've been teaching people, let's talk about business judo for a minute.
Yeah.
Teaching people to use business judo. What are some of the feedback they give you on it after they've done it a while? And really,
well, this is perfect business judo right now. We're leveraging each other. You're sharing a story to your audience. This is like perfect business judo. But the essence of business judo really isn't these simple things, even though this is perfect business judo. Business judo really comes into its own with positive mental attitude when things aren't going well. That's when it really comes into its own.
Yeah.
This is great that we're doing this, and you can do this. You can create a networking event. You can leverage other things that are happening in the industries that you're in, or events, or summer or winter, depending on what season you're in. You can do all sorts of basic things, but the essence of business judo is that mental ability to be able to turn those negatives into a positive, or better still, turn the negatives and disadvantages into advantages.
Mm-hmm.
As a simple example is, I had a car accident. Well, okay, I'll buy a new car. I won't just repair the car. I'll get rid of that car. I'll get the payout, and I'll buy a better car.
Yeah.
That's simple business judo.
Yeah.
How do I improve the situation out of something that's gone wrong? There's been adversity. How do I improve that? A staff member leaves your business. You go, man, that was a really important staff member. Okay, now I have to find someone new, but I'll find someone better at this and better at that instead. And I'll make it better than was before.
Yeah.
So things happen all the time, but see, it's how we respond and how we react that makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's the essence of business judo. How do I flip this narrative?
Yes.
So when people talk to me about it, it's, it's something that you'll see everywhere is perfect business judo, but it's also something you have to practice. At first, I think everyone understands how to do it, but it has to become a deliberate action every single day that this is what I'm going to improve. This is business judo. Okay, how do I flip the narrative? As an example, it's not uncommon for someone to go, well, there's your problem. There's your problem over there, right? The problem's this, the problem's that. Okay, well, look, anyone can see the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can see the problems, right?
That's easy to spot.
That's easy to spot. And even some of the solutions are easy to spot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can just do this. Okay, but that's not perfect business judo. Perfect business judo. Okay, well, this has happened, but I want to now not just fix it. I want to improve it and make it even better than it was before because of what's happened.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's funny you're saying this, because I was talking with a client yesterday. I was talking with a client on Friday about this. They had a staff member that was leaving, and we worked through the fact that the staff member was leaving. And this is not like a one-person company. They've got 70 or 75 employees. So it was hard for me to mentally believe that one person was that much that integral to the business, and come to find out it wasn't. But we did that by walking through it and really figured out that, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to restructure some things, and actually the business is going to be better. And the employee is going to be happy doing what they're doing now in a new role someplace else. So it really is how you look at it, because as you've just mentioned, you can look at that problem, go, oh, there's a problem. And then you can go try to fix that problem. But if you go there and say, listen, we're not only going to eliminate this problem, but we're going to make sure that it never happens again because it's going to be 10 times better, or we put in a foolproof system. That's really the way to do it. But that's great. That's great. So as people are using this, what kind of comments do you get back? Because I mean, there's got to be some people like, oh my goodness, I never really thought about this in the tough times.
Well, that's right. And in fact, in the book, I'll give a shameless plug. So in the book, the business judo is the second most popular. The most popular has actually been time duplication. And I think it's because it's a penny drop moment. The business I made the most money out of was the rule of 100 and the business of thirds. They're the systems I made the most money out of, and even sugar and cream. But the time duplication had the most feedback because I think it's that penny drop moment. See, the one system that every successful person understands, the one system is time duplication. They duplicate themselves, they duplicate their products, and they duplicate their money. Now, some people can get one of them. A few people can get two of them. I'm talking about in a successful way, but very few get all three of them in a successful way. So you think about it, right? So if you don't have to get up and go to work anymore because you've got enough people doing the work for you, that's a great system. That's duplication of yourself. If you've made a product once, but you keep getting paid over and over for it again, that's great too, isn't it? Well, that's duplication of product. And if you're making money while you sleep because of the money you made before, then that's duplication of your money. So, when you talk to most people, how much money are you going to make this year because of what you did last year? Most people don't have an answer for that. They can talk about their expenses, but not how much money they're going to make because of what they did last year. And what you're doing today, how much residual income and renewable income is that going to give you next year?
Yes.
So, you had 2000, when I say you, I mean metaphorically. You've had 10 years from 2010 to 2020. Okay? How much of that are you still making money out of today? So we're in another decade. Okay, so between 2020 and 2030, how much are you going to put into making more money, whether it's duplication of yourself, duplication of products, or duplication of the money you make? So that way, by the time 2030 comes, you don't have to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
Or you can, and you keep duplicating it. That's the one thing every successful person understands. Now, I can't write music like, Katy Perry or someone like that. And they've done it on a hugely successful way. Yes. They write a song, they keep getting paid over and over and over for it, right? Beautiful system. But the actors caught onto that. So once upon a time, the actors got paid millions of dollars for movies, and they went, whoa, hang on a minute. I'll take less up front and I'll get a royalty, thanks.
Yes.
So they caught onto it. See, they caught onto it. They caught onto the system, right? They didn't want big money. They wanted the royalties. And, now business judo, once again, if we use that, now they get paid royalties for products. So they don't just get sponsored by Nike. They get a brand of Nike to actually sell with their name on it. So they get paid extra. So, everyone, it's what successful people do. That's why it's the 5 systems of successful people. Now, you don't have to do it on the scale of millions and millions of dollars to be successful. Everyone's definition of success is different. So you don't have to have millions and millions and millions of dollars to be hugely successful. But if you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, never have to work again, that's not a bad definition of success either.
That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. That's for sure. So you've released the 5 systems of successful people. And what are the other books you've released so far?
I did actually do,
because we were talking the last time. I can't remember where we were at. Where you were at.
Actually co-author this one.
Oh yeah, you did that. Build a business you can sell. Yeah.
Which talks about the systems and money and how business is valued. And this book sold a few books. It's I co-authored it with a merchant banker. When I went there. So Lana, she's now retired.
Yeah.
So I co-authored that with her. I can't remember how many years ago. So that then gave me business judo. I learned the process of writing a book. Sweet. Now I'll write it my own.
Yes.
So I'm writing a series, the Street Smart Entrepreneur series. So this is the 5 systems.
Yep.
So system 1, 3, 5, 7. This is the 5.
Very good.
So the next book I'm releasing is actually on sales. Okay. It's called Make More, Do Less.
Yep.
The best sales systems ever. It's actually, what successful people say, do, and when. That's the next book. It's actually ready for release now. It's in pre-release. It's up there. It's all ready to go. Just waiting for some final feedback, and hopefully that releases. Look, I'm going away again on another surf trip in 3 weeks' time. I'm going away surfing. So it'll either be done before or after that. But anyway, it's coming. It's imminent. It's an imminent release.
Good.
So that's the next book. The book after that is actually going to be the one of 1357. And that's the Strive for Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. And that book will be actually be about creating financial independence. It'll be about balancing life. It'll be doing all those sorts of things. So that'll be very much so street smart entrepreneur stuff for sure. And then I'm going to write it. Like I said, I'll finish the series. So the 3's on the can analysis, the 7's on time. I also have the leadership. So there's a whole series coming out, street smart entrepreneur stuff. I mean, I now mentor and coach people like professors, presidents of multi-million-dollar companies. And I'm now mentoring and coaching those people. And I'm a D-class student. But, the difference is you can have a skill set. You can be really technically skilled, like a doctor, an accountant, or a solicitor, and they are so good at what they do. But it's the out-of-the-box stuff they need help with.
Yeah.
You can't go to a university or a TAFE course to get out-of-the-box stuff. Think laterally. And this is all lateral thinking stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. People can be highly talented at one thing and really, really benefit from help in other areas. And I tell you, that one of the things that you see a lot is you'll have a doctor, like you said, or a lawyer or something. They're very successful in that part of what they do, but when it comes to business, they flop. It's really hard for them to run a business.
It is hard for them to run a business, and that's okay too, right?
Yeah,
because they're really good at what they do. Look, I'm not a lawyer either. I can read the documents, but I still pay someone else. So in reverse, they know how to read the documents. They're saying, "Hey, Scotty, but how do I create a successful business now? How do I successfully lead my team and duplicate my team? I know the concept exists. Look, it's not like we've never heard the team leadership before. We've all heard it, but how? How do I actually do that?" So I teach people really simple systems they can follow, like a personal development pie. I teach them that stuff. Okay, let's put a pie in place. So that way in 2024, you're going to have a better year than you had in 2023. It's not the systems I teach are something you put in place today, but it's not a magic wand. Yes. It's something to put in systematically in your business so you can have a better year next year than you had last year. And that's what systems are for. And they take a while to implement and perfect, and they also can be alive and fluid. They can be customizable, but the point is you put them in place, and then you work your systems.
I think that's a great point, because you see so many people that are out there supposedly coaching people that go, "Oh, just do this. Oh, just do that." And realistically, what you're saying there is the truth. You're going to have to put systems in place. You're going to have to modify. You're going to have to be patient for the results, sometimes way more than you want to be, but that patience and persistence and that continual moving forward with them is where you really are going to get the long-term success.
I mean, people pay me for the forest and the trees moment. Okay, so what's business judo? I can talk about it. You can read about it for $27.50, right? Cheap. Yeah. Easy peasy. I've got free videos online if you want to go watch them too, right? It's easy to get the knowledge, but it's a bit like, let me give you an example. So where I've now come into play with a lot of businesses and a lot of successful people is it's a bit like a recipe book. So I can pick out a recipe book and it says, pinch of salt here and 500 grams of that, and in the oven at 180 degrees for 15 minutes. And it can tell me exactly what to do. But if I had a master chef standing beside me instead and said, okay, we put a pinch of salt in so it does this, this, and this. We put it in the oven at 180 degrees for 15 minutes because what happens is it does this, this, and this, and it'll work. And I can then ask questions. See, the knowledge is there. It's easy to read in a menu. It's easy to read somewhere in a book. Not a problem. But then most people go, okay, I really like the system, but how can I put that in my business? And that's what people pay me the big money for, is to go, okay, let's bring it all together. A bit like having a master chef standing beside you or just a recipe. So the knowledge is everywhere and everyone's got it. And what I tend to do is, after 30 years of coaching and training, is help people extract that out of themselves.
Yep.
That's what
help them execute the things they need to do.
Well, and in fact, I ask most people now, well, so you got a company of 70 staff, as an example. You just mentioned someone the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the leadership system that you follow in the business? Well, most people not only can't say what it is, they can't write it down. They can't describe it in any way, shape, or form. Most people's leadership system is they turn up and just respond to what's going wrong at the time.
Yeah.
There's a squeaky wheel. Let's manage it. What's the sales system? What's the sales system you have in your business? What's the process? What's the if this happens, else do that? What is that process? When a lead comes in, when an inquiry comes in, when you're talking to someone on the phone, what's the systematic way you approach your sales? Most people go, well, we get emails, we ring them up. I get emails, I respond. Well, it's not really a system. It's just being responsive. And it's perfectly normal to do in business. It's what everyone does. But what happens is you get a business to the point of 70 staff or 7 staff or 700 staff, it starts to become a necessity to have the systems in place that everyone can follow. That's the necessity. And they don't have to be strict. You don't have to have it like McDonald's, where it's on the hot plate for 3 minutes, the buzzer goes off, turn over, get out of the hot bun after 30. It doesn't have to be that strict, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. It can be fluid. It can be alive. It can be flexible, but it's still a systematic way of doing it that everyone understands. Whether it's the leadership, the sales, or the business development, you can still implement these systems in principle that everyone can follow. So it can be alive. It can be flowing. It can live, eat, sleep, breathe. You can change it, modify it. But the thing is, what I find in most people's businesses, Damon, is they can't say what their systems are.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your system for leadership? If there's a problem, we'll fix it. That's not really a system.
Yeah. And how, system, like you said, system for sales. Most people can't tell you the steps in their sales process, how they, go through, and like you said, leadership. There's a lot of companies that are fairly sizable that don't have an organizational chart. So people would even know, if I was working in the company, who should be my boss's boss, if that's the way it is, or like you said, what does success mean for me? How do I know if I'm doing a good job? There's just so many things and it's normal. It's totally normal.
It's actually totally normal. I mean, I didn't know that. I'd tell people, just Google this stuff. It's got to be everywhere. And now I go, actually, in the last 4 years, I've gone, no, actually, it's not as street smart out there in the world as I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
So leadership's a buzzword, not necessarily a systematic thing you can do.
Yeah.
Because people don't have a systematic approach to the way they develop their people, the way they train their people, the way they motivate their people, the way they reward their people. And those sort of systems are what you need in place. Oh, we have quarterly reviews. Well, that's actually the worst thing in the world you can do. Mm-hmm. We have KPIs. Well, who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
They're really not things that motivate and grow the business. They can be accountable, they can be used, but that's not a systematic approach of having quarterly reviews. But that's as much as some people get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cannot stand the term quarterly reviews or KPIs, even though they have a place in business. I totally understand it. I'm not saying throw that in the bin, because if you throw that in the bin and don't have a better way of doing it, in other words, business judo it. If you don't have a better way of doing it, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to improve, there's better ways of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, like you said, a KPI might be a better step than yesterday, but it's not your end result where you want to be tomorrow. In a lot of these things, right? It's if you don't have something, take the first step and then move on. Because it's the need. I think a lot of people get hung up on the need for perfection. And they think about, well, that's not quite right. That's not quite right. And they won't start at all. And do you think that you coming at it from a different approach allowed you to move farther, faster with some of these systems? Because it's like, hey,
100%.
I'm going to,
100%. So here's the good thing, Damon, is
I love
this is why it's called the Street Smart Entrepreneur Series, right?
Yes.
It's because everything for me was an improvement or better. I mean, everything was, right? But for some companies, they think, well, if I implement change, it might get worse, or it might not be as good, and it's not perfect. And let's analyze it. Let's spend some time. And then we'll maybe look at it in 2024 or maybe 2025. And you're thinking, like, really? We need something now. So why not be alive and fluid with it and get the team? Anyway, there's a whole long story here, but you're right. So I wasn't afraid to do things. So I was not afraid to make change or afraid to let my team do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the worst decision of all is none.
Yes.
Let's make a decision.
Yeah, delaying because it's not a perfect solution. I mean, that's the thing that I think kills more businesses than anything is they get to a certain point, they've achieved some success, they're doing things, and then the rate of, well, look at any big business, the rate of acceleration of innovation and all the other things that they need to do got them just goes off. Yeah. And then they just can't.
Complexity of opinions, complexity of problems, complexity of all that stuff, really exponentially accelerates. I mean, I get it. And it's not as easy. I get it. There's more moving parts and there's more people that need to be involved. And so I totally understand. But yeah, I mean, waiting for perfect is not that good either. I mean, why does a company with 300, 400, 500 staff that's turning over millions of dollars all of a sudden go broke?
Yeah.
How does that happen? You go, what? How does that happen? So it's, it's either because the people aren't performing or there's no sales in the business. Mm-hmm. So which one is it? I don't know. But they weren't going broke. They were growing. They were successful. So what changed or what didn't change? What didn't respond? Mm-hmm. So, it's
good stuff.
It's easy to sit here and say that.
Oh yeah. Armchair quarterbacking's easy. Look at that. I could have won that war they fought 50 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, at the end of the day, it's about doing the right things. And that's part of the systematic approach is that it's in principle, the system that you're doing, so is this smart? Is this intelligent? Is this doing all the right things? And if so, well, then do it. There's nothing to lose by doing it. So if it follows some of the rules that you've got in your business, well, then do it. Yeah. If it doesn't and it's not smart or intelligent, well, then you have to think better ways of doing things. Mm-hmm. And if it's broke, you have to fix it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And that's where your business judo comes in full swing, because you're going to fix it, but we're just not taking care of the problem today. We're making it better so that it's actually a strength for us in the future.
Yeah. I mean, how do I have a better 2024 than I'm having in 2023? What do I need to do today that's going to improve my year next year? What am I going to learn? What am I going to develop? What am I going to replace? What are those things? Mm-hmm. Most people have KPIs and go, well, we increase the business by 10% or something else. And they look at numbers and that's okay. But, what are some of those things we need to do? So number one in system 1357 is people first. So what's the personal development program, the system in the business to make sure Damon as my employer is a better employee? Damon as my employee is a better employee next year than he was last year. What's his personal development growth program that I can put in place? Or is he just there to do a job? If he's just there to do a job, well, then they turn over. You have to accept the turnover. Yeah. But if you're there to develop people and developing people develops a company.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Well, then you'll have a much better company.
Yes.
But to do that, you have to do certain things. You have to actually implement. I mean, if you've got 70, give me a real life example. I've got a friend of mine, and I don't preach to him. I'm talking to you about business, but once I take off my hat and I'm just Scotty in the street, I don't preach to my friends about it. But anyway, I was talking to a friend, right? He's got like 40, 50 staff. He turns over a fair bit of money. He's doing really well in business. And his son's really good at surfing. So he's really good at sport. In fact, he's a little nuggety, like a little gymnastics kid, right? So he's probably going to do a lot of things. And they're driving around the countryside. They're going away to all these competitions. They're getting all this coaching done for him, high performance stuff. And I'm going, this is really good. So I said, well, so you must do the same sorts of things in your business, right? You must have lots of good coaching and training systems in your business too. He goes, oh, no, we don't do that. I'm going, I didn't ask questions, right? But you see his attitude was straight away, no, I'm not investing in something that's making me millions of dollars a year. Because what if they leave? Well, what if I train a staff member and they leave with all that skill set, And I'm thinking like, so here he is, he understands training and development. He understands professional development for his son in sport, spending, I don't know how many thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Well, just put the same budget into the 30, 40, 50 staff you've got. Get a personal coach in once a month to do a sales session or a personal development session or a motivational session or something. Spend $50,000 a year on someone to come in and do some personal development. Your business will probably double in the next 2 years.
Yes.
Now, how much easier is business then?
Yeah.
But no, instead of spending a couple of dollars like he spends on his son.
Yeah. Yeah. It is people first, man. That's what it's gotta be. You gotta be developing the people, otherwise. And too, I think what a lot of business owners themselves forget, that means them too.
So I'm gonna hit you on the head with that one. I used to get called in to do training at real estate offices. And the boss would come in and say, I want you to come and do a day. And he'd pay me lots of money. I'd come and do a day's training session. And they wouldn't turn up.
Yeah.
It wasn't for them. It was for their team. I'm going like, look, I'm really cool that I'm developing a team. I get paid the same whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
You're paying the bill. We call this happy days, right? But in my head, I'm thinking, well, why did that person not come to the training session? Why would you not come, A, to see what they're being taught, and B, learn it yourself, or get reminded yourself how important some of these simple things are? What's that pinch of salt in cooking that's going to make all the difference? So, and you're right. A lot of the business owners and leaders think, oh, this isn't for me. This is for them. So they don't have their own personal development program, let alone for the really valuing it on the team. So this is why the training fails in a lot of organizations.
Yeah.
They put it in there, but they go, it's not really for me. So there's no follow through. There's no development of it. So you do a coaching course. So what? What's the follow through with that? That's what makes people successful. It's not what they do on the day. It's what they do after the day that makes a difference. It's the action. So, and if leaders don't come to it, or the business owners don't come to it to see what they're learning and what they're doing, different if they've already been to it once before, now they're implementing it in their business. That might be different. But even so, it amazed me, if not confused me, why the business owners themselves didn't bother coming. And I knew they knew, like, and trusted me, but I'm still thinking they should be here. There's things I'm teaching them they don't need to pay me twice for. Instead of getting me back every 6 months, well, they could continue on with the same coaching and training.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Anyway, it's fine. Like I said, it's a hamster wheel sometimes. And
it is.
Off we go, and
it is. But I really appreciate you stopping by today, Scott, because it's been awesome talking to you, and the stuff you're doing, helping people and coaching them with your system 1357 and teaching them about business judo and time duplication and the other things you're doing is incredible. I mean, your street smart approach to it is stuff that we can understand, and and business people should just be taking advantage of it. That's what I'm saying.
Seriously, like for $27.50. I mean, it's like, it's and then there's 1,000 books out there. I get it, if not millions of books. So which one do I read next, and what do I do? And it's really confusing in that sense. But what I put in the books, just to talk about it, is all from experience, and it's genuine. I can prove and stand behind all of it. So it's not what I think you should do. It's what I did and how
what you did. Yeah,
and
what you did and how it worked. Yeah, that's good.
And now you can go, okay, well, I can do that. What do I need to do in my business? So,
very good, very good. Well, Scott, where can people get a hold of you if they want to? What's the best way to get a hold of you? First of all,
well, I've got my own website, which is scottyschindler.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I post some stuff on LinkedIn from time to time. Have a bit of fun with that. And that's about it. I don't really get into social media a lot because it takes my time, and I'd much rather go surfing, to be honest with you, Damon. But at the same time, I like to stay mentally stimulated. Yeah. As I said earlier, I'm a bit hyperactive. I sit here holding on to things as we talk. I'm ADHD. So I do put a little bit of time in social media, but only one. That's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your 5 systems of successful people, that you can find that on the website. Where else can they get it on Amazon, or
it's only on Amazon at the moment? So I deliberately put on Amazon. I'm about to change that, but at the moment it's on Amazon. Or if you go to my website, system1357.com,
system1357.com.
If you go to read, you'll actually see the books in there. So, and if they can either order it off Amazon or direct, and I'll sign it and send them to anywhere in the world. So
awesome. Well, Scott, thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate it. your real world experience is so incredible to be able to share with people. And I just thanks so much for being here.
Well, I can't wait to come to America and do a tour. So I can't do it this year, but maybe next year I end up doing a tour. Unless, there is a couple of small windows. If someone says come over, I might. But at this stage, yeah, it's probably more of a 2024 plan. But I can't wait to come and do a tour and meet all you guys in real for over there. I can't wait to do it.
It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Well, everyone, thanks for being here today. I appreciate you stopping by. We had some great questions coming in here. You got them answered good. We had Kelly Robinson, Diane Byer, Ken Dunner. Yeah, Kelly's here. And Abdur Rameh. Sorry, man, I butchered your name, but you're out of Morocco. Thanks so much for your questions. But we'll be back again later this week with another guest. Thanks. Hang out for a minute, Scott. We'll talk and